Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Hi everyone, Nicola here, and I just wanted to tell you that it's getting dark early in Stoupa because we went forward or back or whatever the clocks did last weekend as well, so we're still on just 2 hours ahead of you guys. Last night I lit the wood burning stove over my shoulder there for the first time first time, full stop, and it was really nice and cozy, and god, that thing heats up quick. It's a bit like a radiator, so you put sort of a log or two in and get it going, and it just gets really hot, and so does the chimney going right the way up to the ceiling, because there's very high ceilings here, and it keeps all the air up there nice and warm, which resulted in a very large cricket, cicada, something coming out to play on one of the walls. Funny enough, it looks a little bit like a spider with 2 extra long legs, but it doesn't freak me out because it's not a spider. So how weird's that? Phobias, eh? Okay, so what's been happening this week? Well, the brilliant news is that the Clicks and Leads workshop has sold out of early bird places. We're now on to medium bird places, and there's still a fantastic bonus if you sign up now, which is that you get 3 months in my Clicks and Leads Academy if you come to the workshop. That alone is worth more than the workshop fee, so it's still a really good bargain. The hotel have let me have a few extra places, so don't be worried about the fact that, you know, we were nearly sold out when we were doing the early bird thing, because we've got a few extra places. I want to keep it small though. I want to keep it so that I can answer all your specific personal questions either during the day or in the bar in the evening. So come along to nicolacairncross.com/Carla-workshop. CALA-workshop. nicolacairncross.com/Carla-workshop. The other thing that's happened this week is I've bought my first Bitcoin. I've been studying this in quite some detail for the last month. I've been looking at the technical charts. I learned how to do that back in 1995, 1997 when I was investing in the stock market. And it's looking very promising, even though it hit a record high recently. It's come back off that high as people take some profits, but it's still very much a buy signal looking at the technical charts. So if you have got no idea what I'm talking about, then do get in touch, because although I'm not going to talk about this publicly very much, I am starting to buy Bitcoin every week now. I really do. I'm convinced by it. I'm convinced by the whole blockchain technology. I'm convinced that there is a challenge coming in the wider global financial markets. Everybody I know that's clever, in whether they're an internet marketer, whether they're a traffic generator, whether they're a property investor, whether they're a business person, everyone is saying there's a global crash of some kind coming, and that Bitcoin is the way to protect yourself against that, and to make sure that some of your savings are in something that has 10 times its value since last year. That's quite astonishing, isn't it? If I'd put 10 grand in last year when I had 10 grand knocking around, it would be worth 100k now. That's a salutary thought for anyone. But of course, past performance is no guarantee of future performance, so do your own due diligence and just drop me an email if you want to know more about it. Nicola@nicolacairncross.com. I've got nothing to sell. I've got no axe to grind. I'm not going to make any money out of anything. I just want you guys to know about it, know that I'm getting into it, and just see what you think about it. That's it on the cryptocurrency bulletin for this week. Let's get on with the show, shall we? Okay, so this week I'd like to speak to Nelson, my son, bless him. Nelson's a really creative lad. He's a music producer. He has been offered his own radio show within a couple of years of starting to make music. He's had his first 2 tracks picked up by a record label, but somehow he's got it into his head that a music industry job career is not for him. Well, that's fair enough, I don't mind. We had a good old chat about property investing when they came out here. And he really showed some interest in that whole property investing scenario. So I suggested he get to know some local property investors. He's got some of my biggest mentors living quite nearby, and there's lots of property events in Brighton. So he can go along and start learning from those people there. Doesn't even have to learn from his old mum. But then he was offered a job, and he thought it'd be really cool to go and get a proper job in an office and earn some money and get a car and learn to drive, all that usual stuff that kids want to do. And lo and behold, he didn't really like it very much. So what he's decided to do now is to try lots of different things, and I'm really encouraging him to do that, because a lot of Phoebe and Nelson's compadres or compatriots or whatever you call them, contemporaries, that's the word I'm looking for, they've all gone off to college for the next 3 years, and they've got 3 years to get their degree and think about who they want to be for the rest of their lives. And when they come out in 3 years' time, that's when they'll start experimenting. So my two, I think, have got a really big advantage in that they are not spending 3 years learning about something that they may not end up doing. They can actually spend this 3 years experimenting, being creative, finding out what they love, finding out what they hate, and then hopefully get into a job that moves them towards what they might want to do eventually. So what I've said to Nelson and Phoebe, and this sort of goes for anyone really who's just coming or thinking of coming out of corporate life, or who's just retired and who doesn't know what they want to do, but they know they want to do something. The thing you've got to do is think about yourself at your own funeral. And now this is a Stephen Covey exercise. I wrote my own eulogy when I was on a train once after reading Stephen Covey's 7 Habits books. Think about what you'd like to be, looking back on when you're 80 or 90, if you live to be that long, and if you're lucky enough to stay alive that long. Think about what you'd be most satisfied to have happened. Would you want to have been rich? Would you have wanted to change the world? Would you have wanted to have written a book or created a musical masterpiece? Think about what you'd most like to have done. Now, the reason you want to do this is not because you necessarily are going to aim for that, but it gives you something to point yourself at. It gives you something to get your train on the tracks to. It gives you something to get your wheel on your car pointed in the right direction. And if you're going to go and get a job, don't just go and get any job. Go and get a job that's going to teach you something. I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that said this. He said that you should take a job for what you can learn from it. And he went and got a job selling photocopiers, I think it was, at Xerox, because he knew he'd learned sales skills. So think about what you want to achieve long term. Don't get too attached to the outcome, because you might end up somewhere different, but at least it will give you a direction to aim for. Then go and get a job so you can pay the bills, and either get a job that's completely unrelated to what you want to do, for example working in a pub or a bar or a restaurant, and that gives you the flexibility to do your creative stuff, or go and get a job that's going to give you a useful skill to end up one step closer to where you think you want to be ultimately. Now, we all know that life changes, life gets in the way, but the thing is, if you're always pointing in the right direction, it's like an aeroplane, it's constantly correcting its course. An aeroplane isn't on target all of the time. They know where they want to end up, they know where they've taken off from, they know roughly the route they need to go, and that's what you young people need to do. You need to get some sort of end in mind, not be too attached to that outcome at the end in mind being exactly that, and just start making decisions based on where you think you want to end up. For example, let me give you an example. If you want to be rich, there's only certain ways to get rich. There's starting a business, there's investing in property, there's investing in the stock market, and now things like Bitcoin, and there's also, what's the other one? There's 3, isn't there? Property, business, stock market. Oh, and internet business. I used to separate the two, but I don't think it is separate now. So what you need to do is you need to think, well, if I want to get rich, do I want to do it on the stock market, in the property, or do I want to have a business or an internet business? And that's got you one step further, because you've made some kind of decision. And then think to yourself, okay, so what's the most likely way? What's the way most people have made a fortune doing stock market investing or internet or business or property investing. And then go and find those people. Go and find the people that have done what you want to do and do anything you can to get them to tell you how they did it, to mentor them. Give them something of value, take them out for dinner. Don't just offer them a coffee and so you can pick your brains, because we're all sick of hearing that. And you will get further on, and people will want to help you. If you show, I look out for like a spark of life in people's eyes, you know, and if I go to speak at an event and there's loads of people who come up to me and what they're trying to do is suck the knowledge out of me, but actually there'll be one or two that have got the spark of life in their eyes and they're willing to see what they could give me of value in return for me telling them how they can move one step further on. So that's pretty much my rambling advice or career advice on what to do if you've got no idea what to do. And Nelson, I love you. You're going to be fine. You've got at least 3 years, if not more, to make your mind up. So, what's on the podcast or the Vzine this week then, eh? On the Vzine, I've got Kate Cocker. We're on someone else's balcony for a change, and Kate's one of my clients in the Be Everywhere Online programme, and she's also the star of the Be Everywhere Online 12-week challenge, which is still continuing. She's still getting some great results from it. And on Talking for a Living, which is the name of the episode on Vzine 040, so it's Vzine 40, you can find out all about Kate, what she's been facing as an entrepreneur and how she's got over her own personal challenges. Okay, and on Own It 154, we're talking about online marketing for a real world business. We talk about Phil and his franchise, his cleaning franchise, and what he can do to market it better beyond what the franchisor was doing. So go and check that out. They're both on the blog. If you go to nicolacairncross.com/blog, you'll find the podcast and the Vzine, and I really hope you enjoy them. So let me know. I love to hear comments or see comments. If you're on YouTube, you can make the comment below. If you're on the blog, the comments are above. And if you're on Facebook, the comments are below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to see more of. Let me know what you'd like to see less of. Speak to you soon. Have a fantastic week.